Welcome to the Power Talk Show powered by Business Talks Weekly. Our guest today has more than 20 years of experience in leading global brands under cloud computing, AI, and enterprise software. He led the leadership team at Google Cloud, where he founded UK's largest digital skills initiative, Google Digital Garage.
Thanks. I've had a fairly varied career, I would say, a varied career path. I started out here as setting up a marketing function in a software testing company. Following that, I did a couple of years in strategy consulting in a company called OCNC. I then went on to a telecommunications operator. Where I've done a range of roles in both the technology and kind of business divisions of the business. I was then headhunted into Google. Well, I spent about 7 years, and one of the two most notable roles I had were, as you said, what is now known as Google Cloud. At the time, it was called Google Enterprise, where I led marketing for Google Cloud in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And the other notable position was leading what became the Google Digital Garage, which was the biggest digital skills program, in fact, the biggest training program that Google UK has had. After that, I led the commercial teams at a number of scale-ups, most notably 3 years at Signal AI, and very recently took on the CEO role of Datanoetic.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much, Itay, for sharing that with us. What exactly does Datanoetic do? Can you tell us a bit about your journey there and what are you leading currently?
So maybe we start with kind of the short to midterm ambition for the company. What we aim to do is we aim to become kind of the autonomous digital brain for supply chain processes, optimization, and automation. When we talk a little bit about the longer term, it's basically the same thing, but instead of supply chain, it's any business. So becoming the autonomous digital brain for any process optimization and automation. In a bit more practical terms rather than the kind of broad ambition, what Datanoetic does is it helps tackle what is currently a lack of autonomous sync between data and process initiatives, and then uses Agentic AI to help improve business outcomes. So the way it works is the solution is basically tailored per customer. So we start with a human-led interaction before heading over to the platform and the AI. And the solution itself includes a knowledge graph and value flow map that's based on number of layers of locations, of people, systems, machines, and sensors. So that's kind of very broad terms and a little bit more detail.
Thank you so much for that. Itay, we have seen cloud computing, which was a relatively a new term when it started in early 2000s. And now after 25 years, we see it's an AI revolution. What has been the adoption? And then where are we heading? What is the next evolution coming into play?
I think AI revolution is still in its early days, and I think you're right to use the internet as an example, cloud computing as an example of equivalent technological evolutions or revolutions, because I think AI is very likely showing all the signs of being at least as meaningful and impactful as those other ones. It's very hard, and I think it would be very brave for anybody to try and kind of guess which exact capabilities, applications, companies are going to succeed in that wave. But what I feel very, very safe in kind of betting or predicting is that the changes that will be brought about by AI technologies, as I said, are going to be at least as profound as the changes that we've seen through the advent of the internet or mobile telephony a bit before that, or cloud computing slightly after that. It's seismic. I think is not an exaggeration.
So, as per your opinion, where do you feel AI is going to make the most impact?
So I think that there's a couple of questions. Maybe if we break it down, one is kind of whether it's going to have the most impact, and another is about the impact that it's going to have on jobs. One is kind of very optimistic and thinks that there are going to be, by and large, a positive change, and another camp with equally smart people kind of taking a slightly different view. I happen to be more on the former, part that's optimistic. But I think irrespective of which camp you're in, the one thing that everybody I think must agree on, and I think do agree on, is that there is going to be an element of disruption, right? Take an example from a quite a long time ago. When we talk about computers at the moment, we all think about devices that do all sorts of things for us. Find, I don't know exactly, 40, 50 years ago, computer used to be a definition of a job that a person did to compute, to do mathematical equations. And obviously that got disrupted and changed as a result of the advent of various other technological innovations. Does that mean that everybody lost their jobs? No, it means that computer, what used to be called a computer, was no longer required because what we now refer to as computers did it a lot better and a lot quicker. But a whole host of other new jobs that didn't exist before were created, and overall we saw a massive improvement in jobs, in living standards, in innovation, productivity, etc., etc. So, and I think that AI has the potential to have the same kind of positive impact, but like the example of computers, will be things that AI does better than various jobs at the moment, and those jobs will kind of have to be adapted, and some with training, some with skilling, etc.
Makes sense. So you have led a cloud computing startup and you are currently leading an AI company. What sort of challenges founder faces building an AI company?
So I think there's some challenges that are specific, that are general, sorry, for building any company, and some challenges that are specific to AI. So starting with the general ones, I think focus is a massive challenge. There are so many different things you need to do, and there's no way that you can do all of them. And so your ability to make sure that you concentrate on the things that matter most, call it firefighting, that you fight the fires that are most likely to be most disruptive, and keep some of the others that are kind of small raging on, is key. And that has been correct in pre-AI and is correct at least as much now with AI. Something that's specific to AI itself, I think there are two new-ish challenges, or at least two. One is your own adoption of AI. You're building an AI solution like Datanoetic provides to help turn processes into measurable assets and to lay foundation for AI-driven operations. But that is the kind of out-facing proposition. You must always keep in mind that there are certain elements in your own process that you might need to think of AI. To use just one of many examples, and when you want to, if you have a new company, it's an AI company, you want to reach out to the market. Traditionally, you might have hired a few salespeople and lead generation, business development people. Nowadays, maybe some of those things can be done by AI. Are you using AI yourself in a way that's most efficient? And the other one, externally, when you are presenting your solution to the outside world, I think what a lot of companies are doing now is a lot of hype, a lot of slideware, a lot of kind of jazz hands, smoke and mirrors, etc. And there's a gap between what people say they're able to do and what they're able to do. And generally, that's fine. That's not new to AI. It's happened before. There's fake it till you make it. It's all good, and it's okay to talk about the vision. What I think would be beneficial for leaders, and I will try and follow that, is to try and decipher the hype and the buzzwords and try and make things as concrete and as tangible as possible. Trying to impress people with words that they might not understand is fine, but if you're able to actually explain it in a way that they understand, you're probably even a level better.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your take on agentic AI? There's so many platforms right now that are offering to create specific AI agents for your specific task. Do you see that market to grow?
Absolutely. And I think it's an example of what I just talked about in the context of like the hype on the one hand and the reality on the other. So the agentic AI is one of the newest concepts that has come out in the context of AI, following LLMs and various others, machine learning, etc. The concept of agentic AI is my interpretation, an example of kind of taking a sort of buzzword and translating into something that anybody who's not even technologist can understand. To me, agentic AI is about using AI capabilities to do work, to do stuff. Okay, so it's like being an agent, but the concept of an agent can be, you can think of AI as being another employee. And the same way that you might be hiring an employee for a specific job to do something, to open the door, to clean the office, or to make phone calls to prospects, and an agentic AI is effectively an AI assistant that does something. You give it an objective, and it tries to achieve that objective for you. So in the context, for example, in Datanoetic, what we're aiming to provide is an agent, a sort of AI capability that allows you to have somebody who looks after your process where you have told it what is the objective of the process. It might be to ensure that inventory is kept at a certain level, or that lead times don't breach a certain threshold. And that agent can then do both monitoring to see if the threshold is or isn't reached. It can make recommendations to notice, oh, there's a trend that something's happening, maybe something can be done. It can go as far as saying, hey, the process is actually maybe not as efficient because maybe a step is missing, or maybe there's a step that should be taken off, and it can suggest those things. All of those things in theory and in practice actually up to now have been done by human beings, and in the new world they can increase, some of them at least can increasingly be assisted by AI. And that's basically what agentic AI is all about. That's my understanding of it in hopefully kind of plain language.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So, what would be your advice to a young entrepreneur building an AI platform or an AI company?
First one is try to keep at it. Keep the faith and plow on. That's maybe the first thing I would say. It's a massively exciting area. It's growing like crazy, and it will continue to do so. Like all massive evolutions, if not revolutions, there's going to be disruption, there's going to be some hype, and there's going to be a period probably in the hype, and there's probably going to be a period of a kind of readjustment of expectations, the same way that happened with every other technology up to now. But bear with it. And other than that, I think these principles of kind of good business building are still as applicable with AI. It is try and solve a real problem. And if you have a real problem that you have a genuine solution for, you've got a very, very good starting point. Next is about what I talked about earlier, which is about the try and maintain focus. There is or prioritization. There is always going to be a huge amount that it would look like there are not enough hours in the day and days in the week for you to do what you want to do. And that will never go away. It will always be the case, which means you will always have to prioritize, and you have to hope that what you choose as the main things to do are really the important ones. Don't fool yourself to think that, oh, I'm going to focus on A, B, C, D, E, F, because then you're not really focusing on anything.
Sense. I know you mentioned earlier, but I want to understand from you as a leader, what is your vision with Datanoetic for the next 5 years?
I think it goes back to what I said in the sentence, this kind of autonomous digital brain for supply chain process optimization automation. I'll use an example, right? I recently I needed to order something before I went away, right? With a well-known retailer, online retailer. So I booked this thing and it was supposed to come the next day, right? And then, because I was leaving the day after. And then the next day, I got a notification, sorry, they actually can't deliver in time. So it will take a minimum more days. But I was leaving and I needed it for that particular trip. So for me, became useless. So I said, okay, fine, then take it back. I don't need it. And the answer was, no, they can't. It's already kind of in process. Therefore, I will need to wait until I receive it, and then I need to ship it back. It's crazy. It's a waste of their resources. It's a waste of the planet's resources, the waste of my time. But the reality is that that's the way the process is. And that is a tangible example of the sorts of things that I hope that what Datanoetic can help do is to optimize and to solve for, so that you no longer need to kind of be bound by the silos that are probably created by the different systems that resulted in the outcome that I just described. And instead, they would have said, yeah, sure, okay, no problem, we'll stop it and we'll take it back.
Absolutely. You have held such big leadership roles. What has been your biggest lesson?
Narrowing it down to one lesson is going to be very hard. Actually, I'll have a crack at it. I think that what I've learned over time is that whilst all the things I said, prioritization is very important, solving customer problems, it's all super important, super relevant. But when you're actually in a business, and actually particularly when you run a business, I should have said it earlier, the human aspect, the ability to interact with the individual, to understand the motivations, is massively important. And whilst an agentic AI, an agent, is going to be devoid of feeling and emotion, you give it a task, and it's going to try its best to achieve that task. Human beings are, which we will continue to work with for a very, very long time to come, operate with different incentives. They all understand the objective. They will all try and get the objective. Some will be inspired by logic and analytics. Some will be inspired by big vision. Some will be inspired by the camaraderie or others. And so your ability to try and understand that and try and give people different incentives, I think, is going to be very useful.
What one piece of advice did you receive that changed your perspective professionally and personally?
I don't know if it's not sure it was an advice or I heard it, but I think the concept of opportunity favors those who are prepared. Different variants of that sentence is very relevant in most people's career, and definitely in mine. There's a huge amount of luck, and I'm very grateful for the luck that I've been afforded. But just being lucky is not enough. To some extent, you have to make your own luck. You have to. I talked about being headhunted to Google was it was being not that I necessarily prepared for that, but once the opportunity presented itself, being ready, being present, being able to take advantage of it is a luck favors those who are prepared.
That's very nice. That's very interesting. Thank you so much, Itay, for giving us the time and sharing your story with us. It was a wonderful conversation.
Brilliant. Thank you, Navin. Pleasure.